So, this next lesson on our series of helping you prepare if you're going into the criminal justice system is really making the life changing decision on whether to go to trial or pursue a plea agreement. This is a huge decision, and it's one where I utterly failed at. I was arrested on August the 11th, 1987. I was locked in solitary confinement. My lawyer told me there was a big difference between an indictment and a conviction. And as things turned out, there's not a big difference when it comes to the federal system. You're going to have to work with the defense attorney to help you make the best decision, but only you know the reality of the backstory. And that backstory is super important. If you know that you're vulnerable, you've got to understand that by going to trial, you are forcing the government to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. And in order for them to do that, they are going to flood your defense attorney with a massive amount of discovery, which we discovered in the previous lesson. And you've got to be prepared to fund the assessment of all of that discovery. It's going to be very expensive. In a federal case, I would argue that you definitely need a budget of a minimum of $200,000 to go to trial, but you should anticipate the potential of it exceeding $1 million. It's very expensive because defense attorneys, their time is very expensive. And if they're going to go to trial and they're doing a good job, they are going to have to assess every piece of evidence, every email that was sent, every phone call that the government has a recording of, every bank record, all witness statements, all the surveillance, and that takes many hours. Sometimes they might have 5 attorneys going through that assessment because they are trying to win a war, and that war is to persuade a jury to acquit you. So they've got to use all their critical thinking skills, and that's very expensive. So just be prepared to understand the ramifications that accompany a decision of going to trial. Now, fewer than 3% of federal cases go to trial. At least that's the data that I have received. Most people who are charged in federal case eventually engage in a plea agreement or plead guilty. And the reason they do that a lot of times is just because they can't afford the costs, not only financial costs, but also the potential risk of a very long sentencing hearing. So you have to balance these risks with sentence exposure, the stress on your family, whether it makes sense for you to put an end to this case, and everything else. I don't think that you need to hire anybody to help you make that decision. I think that you have to educate yourself. You have to be the CEO of your life, defining the best possible outcome. Okay, putting a plan together, assessing everything, developing a strategy that's going to help you work towards the best possible outcome. And you've got to educate yourself on that. Anybody that's selling you something is doing just that. They are selling you something. And there are a lot of people that will fancy themselves prison consultants that really don't have a depth and breadth of experience. Maybe they served a year in a prison camp and they learn how to buy commissary and wash their clothes, and they want to sell you that service. You don't need it. What you need to do is invest your own time and energy. You've got to do your research, and we offer it all for free on Prison Professors. You will be able to learn everything you need to do. We have a chatbot on the bottom where you could ask your questions using AI. In this era of AI, you should be able to educate yourself to help you work more effectively with your defense attorney as your defense attorney is assessing the strength of the government's case. Is it weak? Is it circumstantial? Is it strong? If it's in federal court, I'm pretty sure it's going to be strong. And you cannot be deluded into believing what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear. You also have to consider what kind of case is it? Is it a white collar case? Is it a drug case? Right? There's complexities in these types of cases in how the jury is going to respond. Right? Jurors, who are they? They're typically nurses, firemen, teachers. They're people that don't have experience or personal experience in these matters. And when they see a charging instrument that says United States of America versus your last name, I would not go into this system believing that you're innocent until you're proven guilty. And I would also make sure that you have a full and a complete understanding of the trial penalty. Meaning, if you do go to trial and a jury convicts you, you have to know that the sentence you face as a result of the trial will likely be significantly higher than the sentence you would face if you resolve this matter with a favorable plea agreement. You have to think about the financial and the emotional costs, the stress on your family, on your reputation, on your journey. Sometimes it makes sense to put an end to the bleeding and start preparing for the next opportunity. There's always going to be more opportunities in your future than in the past, but to the extent you prepare yourself well, you are going to be in a better position to get the outcome that you want. A trial can bring a lot of publicity that can linger on Google and search engines and artificial intelligence for many years. But the world could also be looking at mitigation factors, such as whether you accepted responsibility and moved on and tried to atone or make amends. I chose to go to trial. I will tell you it was the wrong decision for me. I can't tell you what the right decision is for you, but what I can tell you is nobody should work harder than you in trying to assess the strength of the evidence, the likelihood of your winning, any suppression motions that your attorneys are going to argue about. The probable sentencing ranges you have to understand, your mitigation strategy, how it would differ if you pleaded guilty versus if you'd gone to trial, the personal factors, what is your risk tolerance? Do you have the emotional resilience to go through a prison term that could potentially last for a decade or longer? I was incarcerated for 9,500 days and was strong through that journey because of lessons that I learned. But in retrospect, I will absolutely tell you there were huge costs of making that decision of going to trial. And if you're going to make that decision, I just want you to make it with your eyes wide open, understanding all of the opportunity costs that come with every decision you make. And I hope that you will work toward getting the best possible outcome. I can only make you 3 promises. I'll never lie to you. I'll never ask you to do anything I didn't do. And I will never charge anybody a penny for the information that we offer for free at prisonprofessors.org. Some people do want to hire somebody to kind of listen to their case and work side by side with them. I'm not that guy. My work is to try and change and open more mechanisms for people to earn freedom through merit. I believe in you, but if you need somebody, I only recommend Justin Pernie, who's a good friend and also a sponsor of our nonprofit, which makes everything possible that we are doing. And you can visit him at whitecollaradvice.com/nonprofit and participate in his interactive webinars and ask questions that are particular to your case. But before you do anything, make sure that you invest time to educate yourself. I am Michael Santos, the founder of Prison Professors, and I believe in you. So be cool.